Ahoy! So the telephone was invented in 1876, and it was a very exciting moment, but there were some unexpected details to work out. Like the first one was, what do you say when you pick it up? Nobody had thought of that. It was all new. So a manual was circulated suggesting that what you should say is, when you pick up the phone, you say, "What is wanted?" and then at the end of the conversation, when someone wants to say, "That is all." So it's going to be, "What is wanted? That is all." So the "what is wanted" didn't last long. I mean, people were saying, what are we, robots? No, we can do better than that. So a contest was struck to see if we could come up with something better than that. And the two heavyweights chimed in, the American, Thomas Edison, and the Canadian, Alexander Graham Bell. So Edison thought we should say hello and goodbye at the end. Bell was a seafaring man, and he thought ahoy was the obvious choice. Well, you know how this turned out. And I'm saying, in the spirit of this particular historical moment, and also as a nod to the guy who invented the thing, I am actively promoting ahoy. And I'm saying that we should phase out hello. Because everything has a lifespan, right? Everything has its moment in the sun. And that's kind of where we're going with this service today. The idea that everything has its time, and really the only issue is to figure out when to make the pivot, or as Pete Seeger said, when to make the turn. It's good to be with you. Let's start with our opening song. Good morning and welcome again to this Ahoy! Wait. Ahoy! This is why I'm growing the Captain Highliner beard, to support the ahoy. Welcome to our North Shore community, where it is our mission. We take it as our mission to help each other live with greater depth, meaning, and purpose. My name is Bruce Grierson, and I'm thrilled to be on deck with you this morning as the front face of our ministerial team here, our ongoing experiment in distributed ministry. Now, if you're new to us, new to this building, to our congregation, or new to Unitarian Universalism, thank you for checking us out. Thank you for taking a chance on this faith tradition that has roots that are 500 years old, but whose current expression speaks to a world that's leaning away from institutionalized religion. Our sign out front reads, "Different beliefs, shared values," and that pretty much says it. This is big tent spirituality, big tent community. Each of us is on a unique journey, but we're all steering by roughly the same stars. We call them our 8 principles, distilled from the world's great wisdom traditions. Every Sunday we meet on the ancestral land of the Coast Salish people, and that too is part of our story, that bigger frame of gratitude and reconciliation, that ongoing work. So please sit back and let this be an hour of reflection and rest, a Sabbath, if you like. Whatever you're going through, whatever your quest, whatever your proclivities, whatever your history with a faith or no faith at all, we hope you feel like you've landed in a safe and elevating place. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce to you Andy Alexander, who will light our candles this morning and get things rolling. Andy has been with us as a soloist for the better part of a year. Some things about Andy. She's a dramatic mezzo in opera, where she plays, quote, witches, bitches, and britches, but not just those. Andy has a wide range and likes to sing in any style. She also arranges, directs, and produces, and she founded and ran her own successful opera company for several years. She continues to sing in a number of vocal ensembles and local and touring choirs. Now, outside of music, Andy is a licensed instructor and practitioner of pranic healing. For 10 years, she has run a free weekly mobile healing clinic in the downtown east side. And if you're asking, what is pranic healing, a much better answer will come from Andy herself, not me. I encourage you to ask her about it. On a personal note, Andy has a late husband, an ex-husband, a current partner, and 1 grown son, and 3 cats who are occasionally allowed on the furniture. Andy has also been a professional caregiver for more than 30 years, working to assist people with all sorts of disabilities, injuries, and illnesses. Andy lives in Vancouver, and by her own telling, may or may not originally be from the planet Vulcan. Big respect, Andy. May you live long and prosper, hopefully among us. We kindle this flame as a symbol of our gathering. May the light of understanding illuminate our darkness. May the warmth of sharing bring us peace. Our second candle that we always light is the candle of joys and sorrows. We have a number on both sides this morning. Here's a joy. This week we received a legacy gift from our late beloved Sonia Macro. This place meant a lot to her. It meant as much to her as she did to us. Thank you, Sonia. We miss you. Another joy, and this is burying the lead. This mural. Okay. Please, I want you to stand up if you contributed an idea or a stroke of paint to this mural. I know that there are many of you here. It was extremely cool. This happened quite quickly, and it was extremely cool to see it go from sketch to pencil drawing to rough. Like on Friday, it did not look like this. Allison was in. You remember that old line about someone asked Flaubert how he spent the day, and he said, I spent the morning putting a comma in and the afternoon taking it out. And it was a bit like that with you, Allison, and the reflection on the water. Like there was no reflection, and then you think, there has to be a reflection, so then you put it, and then next time it was gone, and then it was back. And all this business with the Jackson Pollock, that's new. That's new in the last day or two. So amazing. It just happens, but it doesn't just happen. So thank you. All right. A sorrow. Sympathies to Andrea Fast, whose longtime client and friend Colin Jensen passed away on Monday at the age of 95. And on a personal note, I'm thinking of my mother-in-law, Jen's mom, who had surgery this morning at Montreal General, where the docs fixed a broken hip. And Jen's playing mother to her mother for the next little while. So thank you for being patient here. We have a candle of global concerns now, finally. So Bruce Springsteen opened his new tour called the Land of Hope and Dreams Tour in Manchester, UK, last week. And before singing a single note, he sat down on the stage and he delivered a little soliloquy since heard round the world. He talked about being a proud American and what it feels like to be an American right now. He said, "The last check on power, after the checks and balances of government have failed, are the people, you and me. The union of people around a common set of values is all that stands between democracy and authoritarianism. At the end of the day, all we've really got is each other." And so Bruce was obviously speaking to a lot more than America's own issues right there. Gaza, the Ukraine, the Sudan, the abuse of power is at the heart of a lot of the world's problems. Against it, we unite around a common set of values. We huddle up for peace and justice and love. Let's take 1 minute of silence with that thought.
Wings and
Okay, if that doesn't put a tingle in your extremities, check for a pulse. All right, we've got a poem here. Ross Gay, does anyone know this poet? Ross Gay is a poet who makes me smile. This poem appeared in a recent anthology called Poetry is Not a Luxury, Poems for All Seasons. You'll see on the screen the words, and you can follow along if you like, or just close your eyes and let this one land. It's called Sorrow is Not My Name. No matter the pull toward brink, no matter the florid, deep sleep awaits, there is a time for everything. Look, just this morning, a vulture nodded his red, grizzled head at me, and I looked at him, admiring the sickle of his beak. Then the wind kicked up, and after arranging that good suit of feathers, he up and took off, just like that. And to boot, there are, on this planet alone, something like 2.5 million naturally occurring sweet things, some with names so generous as to kick the steel from my knees. Agave, persimmon, stickball, the purple okra I bought for $2 at the market. Think of that. The long night, the skeleton in the mirror, the man behind me on the bus taking notes. Yeah. But look, my niece is running through a field calling my name. My neighbor sings like an angel, and at the end of the block is a basketball court. I remember my color's green. I'm spring. Right. Phase change. So, how do you talk to Unitarians about Scripture? The answer is very carefully. So, Christianity is something that you kind of can't ignore. It underpins Western society. It's baked into our laws and our economy and our culture, and it's the very notion of individual human rights stems from Christianity. It's certainly part of our Unitarian DNA, and there's no use pretending otherwise. But actually reciting Scripture, well, that's something Unitarians tend not to do, Start quoting chapter and verse, and Unitarians tend to find somewhere else to be. In fact, I guarantee you that the title alone of this service made some people stay home. But Ecclesiastes is worth making an exception for. Ecclesiastes is a different kind of cat for lots of reasons, not least if you're a word nerd, which many of us are. This may be the most poetic book of the Bible. Bob Dylan has said it's his favorite. Leonard Cohen, too. That's good company. And we are all accidentally familiar with so much of it already. There's a funny story told by a Unitarian named Susan Bernard. She'd gone to see Hamlet, the movie version, starring Mel Gibson, so this would be the late 80s. And Mel at the time was still considered hot and not yet problematic. So there were lots of young people in the audience, lots of teenage girls. And after the show, she heard two of them talking, and one of them said, "Yeah, Hamlet's a pretty good play, I guess, but there are too many cliches." She said, there's method in your madness. Come on. The lady doth protest too much. Come on. Nobody explained to this young woman that they're only cliches because Shakespeare invented them, right? And Ecclesiastes is like that too. It's full of cliches, right? There's nothing new under the sun. All is vanity. To everything there is a season. And that last one is really the heart of the matter. To everything there is a season. A time to plant, a time to harvest. A time to break down, a time to build up. A time to weep, and a time to laugh. A time to mourn, and a time to dance. A time to be born, and time to die, etc. The turn part isn't actually in there. Pete Seeger added that. So to refresh your memory of the story itself, here's Ecclesiastes. He's the narrator. He's known as the teacher or the preacher, depending on how you translate the Hebrew. And he wonders, what should a good life look like? How do we lay one down? He decides to explore this with himself as the guinea pig. So maybe the good life, he says, is about pleasure. Eat, drink, and be merry. He tries this. Turns out it's not so fulfilling in the long run. Also, you can't get your tunic done up. So then he goes, well, maybe it's about making money. And he works like a dog and invests wisely and becomes the richest man in the land. Again, underwhelming payoff. He actually might be even less happy now because he has complicated his life. So then he thinks that the good life might be about being super pious and following the commandments to the letter. He lives like that for a while, misses out on a lot of good parties, and realizes he's been sucked into a kind of spiritual materialism that's just another kind of fool's gold. And in the end, he gives up. He decides there is no worldly path that works. Unless the only thing to do is to kind of raise the white flag and turn your life over to a higher power. So that part may not resonate with all of us. But the bit that is very you, I think, is the idea that wisdom lies in diversifying your spiritual portfolio, so to speak. There are no easy answers, and there's certainly no one answer. It's all about trust. Trusting that somehow whatever you've done will work out via some cosmic mechanism that your puny human mind is too small to grasp. It's actually very Buddhist in spirit, this book of Ecclesiastes. It says, yeah, you're not actually driving the bus, my friend. You think you are, but you're not. So maybe don't grip the wheel so tightly. Give yourself carpal tunnel that way. Let it be. Let things happen. Let life unfold. Or you can make a plan, but don't count on things going according to your plan. That's like trying to predict where a falling leaf is going to land. Don't look at the leaf. Step back and take in the whole tree, take in the whole forest that's shedding its leaves, and now you're going, got it. Seasonal shift underway. Check. Don't fight it, says Ecclesiastes. What has been shall yet be. What is done shall be done again. You'll get another crack at the thing you muffed or missed or mishandled. Hang in there. Another surfable wave is on its way. Ecclesiastes is about patience, planetary patience. And that, after a really wordy preamble, is the part I want to focus on here. Nature's rhythms and the way we experience time itself, which is a mind-blowing rabbit hole to go down. Okay, quick show of hands. Who doesn't, right now, have a little timepiece on your wrist or in your pocket or in your purse and your phone counts? Oh, 2. Okay. For the rest of you, no shame in that, right? Without time, without a clock, you might miss your bus or your dentist appointment or the first period of the hockey game or this service. Clock time is a useful metric, but clock time is actually not all that closely aligned with our subjective experience of moving through the day. Clock time and psychological time are really quite different. Life actually comes at us in pulses, in cycles, and there are many layers of them. There are the rhythms of the natural world, sunrise, sunset, new moon, full moon, rainy season, dry season. And then there are social rhythms, the natural cadence of our relationships with one another. And this is like one of your line dances, Bob. We come in tight, we engage, then we fall back, and then maybe we re-engage, harmony, disharmony, repair, giving and withholding, togetherness and aloneness, round and round she goes. And then there's what's happening inside our bodies, the ebb and flow of our energy, which is connected to the natural world but can vary quite a bit from person to person. So you've probably heard the term circadian rhythms, right? It's your internal clocks syncing up with the cycles of sunlight and darkness. Who has heard the term ultradian rhythms? Anyone? So this was new to me until I came across it while researching the Olga book, which was sort of a deep dive into the biology of human aging. And a few of you will know this term. Your ultradian rhythms are shorter cycles of energy and brain activity. They last around an hour and a half. At night, they're your sleep cycles, right? You don't remember last night's sleep, but it wasn't an unbroken ride. It was 4 or 5 sleep cycles. Every 90 minutes or so, you pass through 4 phases of sleep, and then you surface like a whale. You basically woke up before plunging back down again for another cycle. But these same 90-minute cycles are happening during your waking hours, too. You feel them as spikes or dips in your energy levels. So, for example, this morning, between the time you walked through the front door of the church 40 minutes ago and the time you polish off your sandwich and head back upstairs for the AGM, you will have experienced pretty big fluctuations in alertness. How about right at this instant? Are you totally focused on my voice? Or have I already lost you? Could be either, depending on where you are in your ultradian cycle, and I guess how well I'm doing my job up here too. So the productivity tribe, they geek out over stuff like this, the way that sailors study tide tables. They engineer their days to get maximum benefits from the up phase. So if you're a productivity geek who's a morning person, you might tackle analytical tasks as soon as you wake up, because that's when you're sharp and less likely to make errors. My 2 cents on this, I don't think anyone should be doing analytical tasks first thing in the morning, because that's the most mysterious and sacred time of the day, when you're half out of this world. Jung thought the first 45 minutes of the day is when your ego is undefended. So if anything, you should be meditating or noodling in your journal. I'd say if you're going to optimize for anything at that hour, optimize for creativity and spirituality, but that's just me. The bigger point is sound, I think. These natural energy cycles exist, so you might as well lean into them rather than fight them. You can arrange it so that you're not taking on anything too demanding when you're cycling low, and then really go for it when you have a tailwind. With the Olga book, my editors said, yeah, this is all great, Bruce, there's a lot of words here. A lot of people just aren't going to read the book. What you need is a cheat sheet in the back to tell them what the book's about. It's top 10 ways you too can be a superager like Olga. Okay, put that at the end. Okay, so I did. And I ended up including this one, number 7, be opportunistic. In other words, spend your energy wisely. One of Olga's secrets is that she really mastered the ebb and flow of stress and recovery. A key thing for an older athlete, and by the way, so Olga was an athlete well into her 90s and was breaking world records as doing track, and people were amazed by her. So the key thing for an older athlete, or really any of us, is making sure that when you're off duty, you're really off. It's like the difference between turning your appliances off when they're not in use and actually unplugging them. Like your stove, if you're not unplugged, you're still leaking juice. Think of the lion. The lion, if she's not hunting, she's probably asleep. If you watch Lionel Messi play soccer, when he doesn't have the ball, he's actually often walking. The better to pounce when the ball comes near. He oscillates between intense engagement and what looks awfully like highly committed slacking off. And many faith traditions would frame this principle of fully unplugging at regular intervals as a spiritual reset. It's the Sabbath, right? A true day of rest. This is the sacred pause you build into your week to keep the day holy and keep you whole. Some interpretations of Sabbath say that every 7 years you should take 1 whole year off. I think that comes from Leviticus. These days, I don't think many working people could get away with that. The ancient customs don't map that well onto the modern workplace. Although there is a bit of a movement now to reclaim the Sabbath from the corporate overlords. Take our sanity back, ideally for a whole weekend if you can swing it. Just go to ground with your loved ones instead of losing those days to emailing and shopping trips and other busy work that leaves you dead inside by Sunday night. So this is a bit of what James McKinnon was talking about the other week. And it's a move that really agrees with our body at a deep level. If we can periodically stop dancing to the rhythm of the beat of consumer culture and instead honor those ultradian rhythms and weave them into the ancient circadian rhythms, the breath of the living planet, now we are living in an ancestral time, which maybe you could also call universalist time. Okay. Congratulations for getting through that dense bit. That was tough. Let's take 3 deep breaths. Okay, now I want to float a modest proposal to you. I want to challenge you to question your assumptions about the seasons. How many seasons are there? 4. Why 4? Because Vivaldi said so? Yes. Well, when you think about it, it's pretty arbitrary, right? So Kurt Vonnegut proposed that there should be 6 seasons. And Kurt Vonnegut, by the way, a Unitarian, sort of. We claim him. He went to some services, and we claim him as one of ours. So Vonnegut, at least where he lived in the Pacific Northeast, he thought it should go like this. This is his quote. Spring is May and June. That's it. Summer is July and August. Really hot, right? August is September and October. See the pumpkins? Smell the burning leaves? Okay, so that's 3, spring, summer, and fall. Now he introduces his first new season, which he calls locking. This is when nature shuts everything down, he says. November and December aren't winter, they're locking. Nature is closing up shop. Next comes winter, January and February. Are they ever cold? Clearly winter. What comes next? Not spring, but you guessed it, unlocking. That'd be March and April. Not yet spring. The year is exhaling. Made it through. So spring, summer, fall, locking, winter, and unlocking. Those are his 6. I feel it might fit better, that construction, in New England or Alberta than it does for us in BC. But I do like the idea of getting more granular in our description of the seasonal tone shifts. And meanwhile, the Japanese are going, you want granular? I'll show you granular. So in Japan, there aren't 4 seasons, and there aren't 6 seasons. How many do you think there are? 1? Okay, well, in a large sense, maybe there's 1, but there are actually 78 seasons. They call them micro-seasons. So a micro-season can be just a few days long. For example, February 4th to 8th is 1 micro-season. It's called, and it has a name, they all have names. It's called East Wind Melts the Ice. February 9th to 13th is another micro-season. This one's called Bush Warblers Start Singing in the Mountains. Now this is quite radical in a good way. Surely when you arrange your calendar like that, you cultivate a new relationship with time, and your attention sharpens. Like if you know bush warbler season is coming, you might start keeping an eye out for those bush warblers. You become sensitive to nature's every twitch and grunt. You're just a little bit more alive than if you were just mired in February waiting for March, or in May waiting for June. And by the way, the micro-season that we're in right now, May 21 to 25, the Japanese call this one Silkworms Awaken and Eat Mulberry Leaves. And the season that begins tomorrow is called Safflowers Bloom. Doesn't that just make you want to visit Japan? Or at least learn to live with that more finely calibrated Japanese aesthetic. So as you start thinking about time this way, as you slice it thinner and thinner, you start really tuning into the subtle maneuvers of nature, and the world springs into high-def relief and surround sounds until you arrive at the only practical unit of time that really matters, the one that we actually perceive our lives to be made up of. Not months or weeks or days or hours, but moments. Just moments. Your life, my life, what is it really but a string of moments? I once did a piece called How Long is a Moment? It seems like one of those impossible Zen questions, like how long is a piece of string? But there is actually an answer. 90 seconds is your answer. 90 seconds. A moment is 90 seconds long-ish. Okay, at least that would have been the answer if you lived in the medieval era. Because back then, a moment was an official unit of time. There were 40 moments in an hour, as measured on a sundial. So, rough measurement. And that must have felt like a useful unit of time to medieval Europeans. 90 seconds. Just enough time to knock off some small essential task, like brushing your teeth or making a backgammon move, or some quick household chore. You got a moment, Jedediah? I could sure use some help making up the bed. I don't know why I just did that in a southern accent. It's supposed to be medieval European. But these medieval Europeans, they may have been onto something in their currency of moments, because there's a kind of magic to that interval of 90 seconds, it turns out. Turns out that's roughly the lifespan of an emotion. The person who figured this out was a Harvard neuroanatomist called Jill Bolt Taylor. You may have seen her TED Talk. It's kind of amazing. It takes about 90 seconds, for example, for anger to play itself out physiologically. A wave of anger builds, crests, crashes, dissipates. Adrenaline ebbs, tension, the rapid heartbeats subside, and you're back to baseline. 90 seconds. In through the front door, out through the back door. How many here, show of hands, meditate? Well, at least I would say half. It's amazing. Then you're probably aware of how this works, right? How short-lived emotions actually are. It's a good thing to remember when someone cuts you off in traffic. or you accidentally insult someone and you feel terrible, but now they're gone and there's nothing you can do about it. Deep breath. You're going 90, 89, 88. This too shall pass. Whatever you're feeling right now will very soon morph into something else. So our experience of the world consists of these little hops across the river from rock to rock, from moment to moment. And the vast majority of these little hops, the moments of our days, are instantly gone. Your brain says, nothing important about that moment, delete. But some moments land and they stick in your memory because some moments really do matter. They matter because they mean something to you. They're somehow central to your project, to your identity. And the really significant moments, which have sometimes been called defining moments, may stick to you for the rest of your life. So what makes a defining moment? Well, social science has identified 4 qualities. They are elevation, insight, pride, and connection. So elevation, there's something awesome about these moments. There's something transcendent about them. They raise goosebumps, an experience we sometimes describe around here as secular grace, or even just grace. Insight, they seem to reveal a little bit of the puzzle. Aha, you say. They rewire the way you understand the world and your place in it. Pride, they validate you somehow. They're deeply reassuring. And finally, connection. They cement a link of some sort to your past or future, to a significant other, to your better self. And the most potent defining moments have not just one of these qualities, but a number of them all at the same time. And these moments rise to a level of a kind of emotional, a universal emotional language. They strike a chord that would resonate with anyone, whoever you are, whatever age, whatever gender, whatever culture, wherever you are in the world. Something is going on here in this moment, some essential aliveness that makes these moments land like a shot of distilled joy. I think we could watch this for the rest of the morning. And this is why poets chase defining moments. Artists too. And more prosaically, it's why journalists do. So Dan Rather used to walk around the CBS newsroom with a little button on his lapel that said moments, to remind everyone that this was the currency. If you were giving people moments in your newscast, you were giving them everything. So can anyone identify this moment in history? What's going on here? Berlin Wall's coming down. And I bet you can remember exactly where you were when this happened, or where you heard it was happening. 35 years later, it's seared into your memory banks. What creates a defining moment for a whole culture is the same thing that creates a defining moment for an individual. It marks a phase change. Something is becoming something else. And this is the work that religion has always done, right? It brings the community together to celebrate and bear witness to moments of phase change, coming of age, marriage, death, the turn of the season. When people observe a phase change together, it becomes a defining moment for that community. And a community can be as small as 2 people. The other day, Lila came home from school, high as a kite. Figuratively, not literally, I think, I hope. And I hope I'm not telling tales out of school here, although I guess literally I am. But Lila's comes in. She's just back from YouthCon in Montreal, and she's vibing in this mode that Unitarian youth get into, where they lay themselves bare to each other for an entire weekend. Everything's real, everything's promise, the promise of the next phase of life, beyond high school, beyond regular dinners with her nuclear family. And Lila sits down at the table and says, "Let me play you this song. It's by Neutral Milk Hotel. You're going to love it." And I say, "Let me guess. Is it In the Aeroplane Over the Sea?" And she goes, "Yes." And I say, "That used to be one of my favorite songs, like 30 years ago." Stunned silence. I had picked up my fork to eat, and now I set it down again. She pushes play. Just for a second, the earth stops spinning on its axis. The poet Hanif Abdurraqib said, quote, as far as I know, we will love each other here only once, only for a little while. So it is worth seeing what we can make out of this moment. Now, we've drifted a little bit from Ecclesiastes, but you knew I'd circle back around, right? Rabbi Harold Kushner wrote a popular book about Ecclesiastes. It's called When All You Ever Wanted Wasn't Enough, in Search of a Life That Matters. In his view, Ecclesiastes is the book of the Bible that most directly addresses the question that's dear to us here in this barn. How should we live? So our narrator in that book ends up in a very dark place after all his attempts to live a good life have come a cropper. Looks around and concludes that the game is rigged. A lot of times, virtuous people, honorable people seem to be getting hosed, while scoundrels are getting rewarded. And Kushner said, well, the problem here, my man, is the way you conducted your experiment. You pursued the good life like you were trying to crack a code or follow a recipe. You were like, if I just obey the rules obediently, I'm golden. But the thing is, Kushner said, authentic religion does not want obedient people. It wants people of integrity. Living with integrity means finding out who you are and being more or less that person all the time. Being that person all the time. Even though the world is heaving under you, even as phase changes are happening all around you. Being mindful of the macro environment, the exquisite machinery of the spheres that has had billions of years to get the timing just right. But hey, good news. Your job is simple. Eat your bread in gladness. Drink your wine in joy. That's it. You don't need to keep madly hunting for more and better ingredients to whip up a satisfying life. You have all you need. You just have to trust that that statement is true. Listen. Tone shifts are happening. Phase changes are underway. The silkworm is waking to munch on a mulberry leaf. Tomorrow, the safflower will be in bloom. Wait for it.
And when I rise, let me rise. Please remain seated for this meditative music. If you want, you can just close your eyes. And when I fall, let me fall like a leaf, gracefully, without regret. And when I stand, let me stand like a tree, strong and tall. And when I lie, let me lie like a lake, peacefully, calm and still. And when I walk, let me walk
Our outreach recipient this month is the Wild Bird Trust of BC. They have a lot of conservation projects going, including partner with the Tsleil-Waututh Nation to maintain Maplewood Flats. That's the protected bird sanctuary and education center here on the North Shore that many of you are familiar with. We have a long history with this group and its founder, and we keep re-upping with them because they do such good work. 100% of the plate collection today will go to this charity. The ushers, please come forward. Some announcements. The fuller roster of all that's going on in this congregation can be found in your e-bulletin, but here are a few we'd like to bring to your attention. And this first one, there's no slide for this. Last night at the concert, a very lovely brooch was left behind. It's a beaded red dress, It's about this big. It's somebody's precious piece of jewelry, and so it now lives in Janny's office. If you know, if you're missing it or know who is, so please come forward on that. After the service, right now, very, very soon, we have sandwiches downstairs. We invite everybody down. Suggested donations, $5. If you're new, by all means, don't worry about that. Just come down. My fear with Diane is that she has given up on serving hot food because I keep going over time, and then she, and I'm hoping that there will, it's not the end of the casseroles and the sandwiches and the soups, but sandwiches are good. Sandwiches are good. After the sandwiches, after you've polished off your lunch, please come back upstairs for the AGM. Here's where we decide how to steer this ship into another year. Ahoy! What is wanted? What is wanted is for you to come to the AGM. All are welcome, but only church members are allowed to vote on things. So come back here and get yourself signed in. When would you say noonish? Noonish. Head up around noon so that you get your ballot in. Next week, the outsider, Inga Bakridge. This is it's very special when we get an in-depth sit-down interview with someone who has lived a life such as Inga has. I guarantee it will change the way you feel about your own life and luck and community. Please come. And there's another one that doesn't have a slide, I think. Wayne Hanna's got is promoting End of Life Matters, which is a discussion. Oh, here it is. There's a slide. So on June 8th, here in the sanctuary, there will be a discussion of the affairs you want to think about as you're, toward the end of your life or the life of someone you love. And you can contact Wayne for more about this, and he's, yes? Oh, I see. Okay, yeah. There you are. Okay, yeah, and he can tell you more, and you're asked to sign up in advance so he knows roughly what the numbers will be. And unless anyone has anything crucial that they want to add, well, let's call that the end of the announcements, and go right into the congregational hymn. All My Life's a Circle by Harry Chapin. The minute you showed up in this world, you were given a life sentence, and you have no idea how long that is. If that line feels a little bit familiar to you, it's probably because at some point you saw the Shawshank Redemption and it lodged in the back of your mind. It's a freaky idea that we don't know how long we've got. Makes it kind of hard to do up a budget, a time budget. Who was it who said time is the only currency you spend without ever knowing your balance? Today you've given me and one another an hour of your precious time from the mysterious account of your indeterminate lifespan. So for that I say thank you. Lean into the phase changes. Live in each season as it passes, said Thoreau. Drink the drink, taste the fruit. It's going to be okay. Let's extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame. The world calls us to live with depth, meaning, and purpose. We go forth with courage and love. Thank you to everyone who made this service possible. And thanks to all of you for voting for this particular you expression that we have going on here, this labor of love by continuing to show up. It's working. That is all. Let's circle around.
Circle